Today on Here for the Right Reasons, Hannah Brown reveals that she knew her husband wasn't on her season of The Bachelorette.
I remember that first night being like, he's not here. And if I would have trusted that, if I would have been true to myself, I think it might have been different.
Plus, we're breaking down Zac and Tayshia's split and Katie Thurston and John Hersey's new romance. And we break down Michelle's latest connections as she picks her final four. We've got that plus so much more on today's Here for the Right Reasons. Hey guys, Christina Garibaldi here with Us Weekly Senior Editor Sarah Heron. Sarah, oh my God, how did we get to hometowns?
How did we get to hometowns? Why is Bachelor Nation imploding? Right. There is so much going on in this franchise on screen and off screen right now.
I know. All right. But before we break all of that down, I know that you had a big interview with Hannah Brown recently.
Yes, I mean, Hannah Brown is a huge part. God bless this mess. Her new book, I love it. I love mess, and we have plenty to talk about, including Hannah, and she spilled the tea about her relationships, post-show hookups, and more. And she also revealed the moment she knew that she wasn't going to find the one on The Bachelorette and how she feels about the show now. And I wanted to play that for you, so here's Hannah.
I mean, I think obviously you're very happy now, and I know you wouldn't change anything, but how long did it take you to realize, if I didn't pick Jed, how long did it take you to stop thinking, if I didn't pick Jed, would things be different with Tyler? If I didn't pick Jed, would things be different with Peter? Because it kind of felt like something that lingered for a while, which makes sense because you were battling these intense feelings and just a lot going on.
It definitely took a long time. But the whole issue with all that is I didn't trust myself enough to make a decision. Mm-hmm. And I think that is what you see kind of as a pattern in a book. If you don't really trust yourself, know yourself, then it's really hard to make decisions about love and relationships, especially in an intense amount of time. And, at the first of the book, like I say, I remember that first night being like, he's not here. And if I would have trusted that, if I would have been true to myself, I think it might have been different. But then I just let my heart get involved. I pushed myself to let my heart get involved. And that's what another lesson I learned is you can't give your heart to in pieces to people. Because then it's broken, your heart's broken, and every guy kind of just got a little piece of me, but they had it. And so I had to kind of rebuild it. And, but yeah, it definitely took a while. It was all real feelings, but I think really knowing if those were my true, what was true to me was the thing that I had to uncover.
That makes sense. You write a line that the show, it's supposed to be focused on romance, but it's more like an emotional disaster. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's fair for a lot of people, not just you. Is there anything you think that the structure of that show could even do differently? Or do you watch it now? Can you even try to pretend or follow it? Did you have to distance yourself?
Yeah, I really, I'm in a different chapter of my life, and I will always be thankful for, what that show has taught me, some of the relationships, and obviously the people who started following me and became fans of me through that show. But I really have moved on and don't really keep up with the show anymore, but I'm always rooting for somebody to find love, because I do believe that you can find love on that show. If it's meant for you, it will be there. But it definitely is a hard way to start a relationship. But I mean, there's obviously success stories that come with it too. So
yeah.
Yes, this book is so good. And, you had a great interview with her, and she spilled so much tea about that Peter hookup, about her relationship with Tyler. But yeah, she kind of felt as soon as after night one, she said, I knew that my husband was not here.
Yeah, I think Hannah's book, because a lot of people have messaged me about it because I've been posting so much and the teases and stuff. And some people think, like, oh, why is she airing out her dirty laundry? Like, this isn't cool. And we're going to get into that with some of the Katie stuff and social media. But if you read the book, it really does, in my opinion. I mean, wants to sell copies. She's going to give people tea. She was involved in a love triangle with Gigi Hadid. Her season had an insane ending. She comes from this Christian Southern background and became this like sex positive bachelorette that she didn't really necessarily know how she felt about in the moment. So there's a lot of reflection. There's a lot of girls who I think probably relate to a lot of stuff she's writing about. And it just so happens that these are people we know and there's mess involved. But you've seen Peter and Tyler and even Jed do interviews or say shady things on Instagram before, and Hannah never really responded.
Right.
So this is her like taking it back a little bit, reflecting, and everything. If you read the book, it doesn't come out like, oh, F you, Jed, or, there's definitely some little digs there, but it really, the overall message is like, this is what I did wrong, girls, don't do this. Or this is how, look what happened in my childhood, that now I realize that that's why I picked this person, or why I ignored my instinct when I knew my husband wasn't there, because this happened and I never went to therapy and pageants and this. So there's a lot there, and I'm not being paid to promote this book. And we have the juicy stuff on usmagazine.com in very lengthy galleries that I spent a lot of time on. But if you want the overall message of the book, you should just read it. I think it was good. It's one of the better Bachelor books I've read in a while.
Right. Because since every single member of Bachelor Nation is now writing a book, this seems like a good one.
Yeah, it's worth it. I think if I have to recommend one in the last couple of years, this would be the one.
Yeah, definitely. Well, who knows? Maybe Tayshia's working on her book, because she just went through a breakup with Zac, which I'm like super sad about this one. From the beginning, I wasn't sure if this one was going to work, but they stayed together for over a year, since they got engaged, and he had one of the best proposals of all time on the Bachelorette, and they seemed like they really, really loved each other. But, I think that their busy schedules, they just couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, I think they're really different. And I think that was something, it's almost like when people, like when we have these assumptions about people, sometimes we're wrong, but a lot of times we are right. Like, it's kind of like Katie and Blake, similar things where it's like, this is never going to work. He literally lives in Africa half the year and they have no plans to like live in the same country. And we were like, oh, they'll figure it out. And then like, it took like a month for them to implode. With Zac and Tayshia, I think the narrative or the concern has always kind of been that he's maybe a more quiet Jersey guy working on his stuff and his addiction, his specialty, and his rehab and recovery and all those efforts. And Tayshia is still on the show. She's very much on The Bachelorette. She's very much like doing press and stuff like that. And I think you could be different, but you would see her a lot of times at events without Zac. You would see them kind of just living different lives, good or bad. Like, I'm not saying it, either of them are right. It's just, they seemed really different. They were never planning the wedding on that Watch Robin's live appearance. Tayshia, like, didn't even really say his name. I don't know. The whole thing was weird. And then the second she, showed up at that House of Gucci premiere without that ring, people are like, they ran the marathon. I'm sure that was great. And that was maybe like a last ditch effort of like, if we can get through this marathon, like we can work everything else out. Clearly not the case, but again, it is sad. I think they were very beloved and they seem like nice people.
Yeah. And I don't know. I don't really see them getting back together. Who knows? But, we wish them well. They both haven't publicly spoken out about it. They haven't confirmed it themselves on Instagram, which, usually we'll get that joint statement from the two of them. But, it seems like they're maybe, I think sources told us that they're both going to be taking this breakup pretty hard. Like, they really wanted to make this work and, they just couldn't.
Yeah. And I think maybe also we haven't heard from them because this got out a little earlier than they wanted it to, which is always tough and things leak out. And when you do show up to movie premieres though, without your ring on or you're recording your podcast without your ring on or you're liking cryptic Instagram posts, like you kind of can't, if you really don't want it out there, you have to be very discreet about what you're doing. So in that sense, like I feel bad, but I don't feel bad. But at the same time, the statement was very much from the rep. They are no longer a couple days after the speculation got out of hand. So I think they wanted to like shut it down or like confirm it, but then move on. But yeah, very interesting that we haven't gotten the we're still going to stay friends BS line.
No, totally.
I think it's because maybe they are still behind the scenes working out exactly what went wrong, what they want to say, what their narrative even is.
Right, exactly. Well, things are getting very messy between Katie, John, and Blake. So as we know, Katie and Blake broke up about a month ago after getting engaged on the season finale of The Bachelorette. We said it here that we didn't think that this one was going to work because, like you said, he lives in Africa half the year. They just really weren't spending as much time together post-show. She was spending a lot of time with Bachelorette contestant John Hersey because they both live in San Diego together. So they were always out, at events, going out for dinner. So we're like, oh, they have a really good friendship. Well, fast forward to now. she is now dating him, and Blake is kind of in shock about this whole thing. He just spoke out about it, and the timeline really isn't adding up for him.
No, I mean, I don't think it's adding up for anybody. Listen, Katie has had a weird trajectory this whole time. Like, her season was airing and there was rumors about John because like they were seen at the same, he's a bartender in San Diego, and she was at the bar more than once or something. And I think everyone knew that that was kind of like a silly speculation, but it was, you know, brought up. And then he was very much defending her when the Greg thing happened. They became friends all in the fall. They were together a lot when Greg was in Africa or in Canada. And she even said on Whitney Cummings' podcast in September, like, one of the things I love about Blake is how confident he is. Like, I'm really good friends with John, who, by the way, went home week 2 in her season. This isn't even a Kelly Flanagan final 5 situation. Week 2.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? Wow. But anyway, she was like, I love that about Blake. He's confident. I don't have to worry about that. Like, I can have guy friends. And then, I mean, on Talking It Out, when Blake was just on Mike and Brian's podcast, which they recorded him a week ago and then brought him back in because so much changed, which, I mean, good for him for wanting to say something, but like, because it would have really made sense. And he was just like, listen, like, I'm not saying anything necessarily happened, but there is an element of emotional cheating. And from my perspective, because how could she, you know, within less than a month go from like, oh, we're crying on the phone, breaking up, to now all over TikTok and Instagram and making jokes. Like, this 12 days of messiness thing, she knew what she was doing, how this was going to end, I assume. So at least 2 weeks ago, she was ready to announce it through this Taylor Swift challenge, which gives us 2 weeks for them to figure out that this was more than a friendship, which I agree with Blake. I think she was maybe getting physical stuff from Blake, or trying to, when he wasn't, you know, in a different country, and emotional stuff from John. And I'm not saying that Blake and Katie needed to end up together, but out of respect for him, I don't think it's cool to be all over the internet right now.
I don't think so either. I mean, give it a month or two, and maybe even longer. Like, that was your fiance. Like, I mean, yes, granted, you guys only knew each other for a couple weeks before you guys got engaged, but yes, you still wanted to make that commitment to him. Like, you still said yes. And, you know, give him some respect. I mean, it's just not right. And like, I agree with him. I definitely think that there was some element of an emotional relationship that they had. They must have. I mean, he must have been there for her during the breakup. And then, you know, all of a sudden she realizes these feelings about him. But then like that, the video that they posted, the beginning and video where she posted like footage of him on a plane, Blake was on that plane with her. He was on the plane.
What are we doing?
So crazy. Like, this is so awkward.
I have 2 quick other things to say before we move on. And I will be going on a very long solo rant on Us Who's Here for Their Reasons podcast about this. So if you want more hot takes, go listen to that. But one, if she waited a little longer, I also think Bachelor Nation would rally behind it, because John seems like a great guy. He clearly like probably has had feelings for Katie for a long time, and he was trying to be there for her as a friend. But imagine this was 6 months from now. It would almost like be like a rom-com. Like, this was the best friend who came in, and like, it was enough space. And there would still be questions about the timeline, but people wouldn't automatically assume like, what are you doing here? I think people would really be behind it, and it would actually be like a cute ending. But like, they didn't need to be, everyone knew they were friends. They could even have gone out in public and people wouldn't have necessarily known they were dating. Like, they could have played it cooler. And then at the same time, like, it just makes it to transition into the episode, like, really hard to take it seriously. And I know that anytime someone breaks up, everyone always jokes like, no one on the show gets married. But when they all come in at once, and it's a couple that like, they did get engaged, and say what you want about the show, like, it makes it now making me think like, well, how am I supposed to believe any of these proposals if Blake and Katie had this full on thing? Like, whether you want to say it was they were not going to last or not, they technically got engaged. It wasn't married at first sight, legally married, but there was a ring, and that ring is supposed to mean something on the show and in real life. And now I'm even more so like, in what world am I supposed to buy that Michelle's going to marry one of these dudes?
100%. Because I just feel like, you know, The Bachelorette had like a little bit more of a better track record than The Bachelor. But now it just seems like none of these relationships are working anymore. And maybe that's because everybody's just so consumed with being famous after the show too, because everybody is just looking for those Instagram likes and, you know, the ads and things like that. And, you know, they're not concentrating on the relationship. I think Michelle kind of maybe whoever maybe she picks may work, is because it does seem like she really is there for her husband. Not saying that Katie wasn't, but clearly, I don't know, something. Like you said, she did not need to go on this whole be public about this relationship right now. It's just weird. It's weird timing. I don't know if she was trying to like get back at Blake for something. I don't know, but it's really weird.
It's so weird.
All right. Well, let's get into last night's episode and break down everything. Let's kick it off with our buzzwords. What summed up the episode for you?
I did breaking up, not only because everyone's breaking up in Bachelor Nation, but also in this episode. And I know yours is similar. Like, in what world were we about to be in hometowns? I had no idea that we were getting so many breakups on and off screen. I mean, 4 people went home. Right. We cut it in half. We're down to our final 4.
I have to go back and look and like, is this season like less episodes than we've been before? Because I feel like we're only episode 6. I feel like usually hometowns is like episode like 8 or something. I feel like maybe this season is a little bit shorter. I don't know.
I looked on Bachelor Data, which is the good Instagram account, and she had done, before this episode aired, like a quick analysis of when they were naming the Bachelor based on when they went home, and then also like hometown. So I was trying to put it together with that because I was like, oh, he got a hometown, but he got sent home. Like, so it wasn't like an official hometown analysis, so I might be wrong, but it looked like on that it was typically in episode 7 or 8 was a hometown and was a final 4 like solidified, not a 6. So it definitely feels like there's one missing. I think maybe she just sent so many people home as the show went on, or maybe they cut a lot of stuff out, which I'll get to in a second too. Like it feels rushed for sure.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, mine was the final 4 because I just can't believe that we're here. So weird. All right, let's move on to who we're shipping.
All right. So I've been hard on Nate, and I still don't like die for Nate by any means, but out of who we're left here, if I'm just watching this show as someone who's trying to like pick a winner, I think Nate has it in the bag. Yeah. I think that that group date rose is important when there's this many little people left for he's, gotten validation from her before. She wanted to give it to him again. He stole that little kiss during the group date, and I actually found him a little more charming this week, and I think maybe it's because we didn't show that much of him, but
right.
I think Michelle and Nate have a strong connection.
I do too, and I think mine was Brandon and Michelle. I think that they have a strong connection too. I thought he handled the whole parent situation as well as you possibly could be, but he admitted that he was falling for her. She seems to really be kind of smitten with him as well. I don't know. For me also too, I don't know why I do like Joe for her. I don't know why. He just seems like a really nice guy. And we said last week that he reminds me of Derek Jeter. So I think that's why I like him so much. But I think, I don't know. I between like the 3 of them, for me, I see her with Joe, but she does have really good spark with Nate too. But I don't know. Maybe it's the chains and the earrings with Nate. It's I'm not into it. I don't know.
I like Brandon, and I think he really likes Michelle. I just feel like Michelle is like, you're my little brother. Like, obviously they're making out, so not like so little brother, but like there seems to be, or maybe like, I don't know, like he's all in.
Yes, like, he is all in. But I agree. I think Michelle is a little bit more mature than Brandon is, but still really cute.
Yeah, let's talk one-liners. What you got?
I love the little girl who was talking about Martin, says, I don't know if he's the right one for Michelle, and he wears too much cologne. I mean, that kind of pretty much sums up Martin. Well, he's just a terrible person. So we'll talk more about that later. But
we'll get to Martin. I have plenty to say.
But very cute that the kids came in. They were adorable.
Yeah, the kids were cute. I think they played their roles well. I would love to know how many lines they were fed. And also, it's interesting to see like the kids keep coming back and like whose parent, like I wonder if these are her real students. Like I have so many questions about the kids, but they are cute. I'll give you that. Yeah. For my line, I just wanted to take this brief moment to bring up that in the promos we had Clayton. Clayton.
One and the same.
My bad. Yeah. Clayton seemingly calling out Nate, or them calling out someone about being an actor. Right. And it was in every promo. Clayton's gone. So is he coming back? Are we not getting that? Like, that is so uncool.
That is such a good point. I totally forgot about that. But yes, you're right. We've been seeing that line for a very long time. And then or did they already send it through and they couldn't change the edit because now people are starting to like Nate? I don't know. Who knows? And who even knows if it was about Nate?
Promo as of last week, because I interviewed Michelle and I tried to hint at okay, well, in Tuesday's episode, Nate might be in hot water, and she's like, you have to tune in, and it doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make any sense. I don't know. This whole season doesn't really make any sense. It's just so weird. I don't know. All right. I mean, we got to talk about Martin. Like, he is like literally one of the worst contestants ever. And I will be so mad if they bring him to Paradise because he just doesn't deserve it.
I know. I mean, I didn't even understand what his point was.
Right.
Like, it definitely, that conversation that he had with her, with the guys and with Michelle, there did seem to be maybe some editing stuff. Like, it was choppy. So I think that they definitely took the worst parts of what he said. However, I'm sure that was his sentiment of like criticizing Michelle and accusing her of not being mature enough for this because of past trauma. Like, excuse me, Martin, who are you to try to psychoanalyze Michelle, who is way more mature than you will ever be?
Seriously. And the way that he was like speaking over her when she was trying to talk, and he's like, my love. And she's like, I am not your love. And then like when he's like leaving in the car saying that she doesn't deserve his time. Like, who are you? Get out. I cannot believe that he made it this far. I mean, there were so many red flags from night one about him. I mean, he was best friends with that guy. I can't even remember his name anymore. James. Yeah. Right. Yeah, Jamie. I can't even remember his name, but like so many red flags, and she kept him around, but no. And then he tried to defend himself on Instagram afterwards. Right.
Yes, my cringe is that Martin thought that this was a good idea. He's wearing a tank top that says Final Rose material. So like, okay, Martin, like you bought a Bachelor shirt. And this is what he wrote. Get to know me first. Hi, my name is Martin. You may have seen me on The Bachelorette, but only parts of me that made sense for the show. I'm not perfect, but neither are you. I have insecurities, but so do you. I have made mistakes, but guess what? You have too. The ultimate meaning of life is growth. We can't grow without experiences, whether positive or negatives. Yada, yada, yada. Remember, you only get a glimpse if you want. Like, of what you see. Like, come on, dude. Like, this is nothing. Yeah, of course we all make mistakes, but we also don't like berate this woman who then, when we're telling the guys one thing, then like low-key gaslighting, I know is the wrong word maybe, and it's or whatever, but he's telling her that, you know, she knows that he said this about her, and he's like, I didn't say that. Like, he's messing with her head. He's criticizing her past. He's throwing her poem in her face.
Right.
Like, that has nothing to do with the fact that you have flaws. Like, yeah, you have serious flaws and insecurities, and we all do, but this message means nothing. You didn't even apologize.
No, he's literally one of the worst people ever. And I don't think that he should ever be allowed to come back to Bachelor Nation. But yes, like what, like, I just don't understand his point or his purpose. And nobody's going to be taking Martin's side in any of this.
No, go away. Go away. I just writing F off Martin in my notes. Like,
seriously, F off Martin. All right, let's talk about our cringeworthy moments of the night. There were a lot. What was yours?
All right, I'm going to go back to Brandon real quick with the Michelle parents thing. I think the cringier part was just that the whole like, oh, my parents aren't home. Yeah. Like, we're in high school. Like, we're living our lives. Like, okay. And him wearing her dad's bathing suit. And then, of course, you knew the parents were coming. So I was just cringing the whole time. Like, this is so weird. And then it could be taken as a very sweet moment when he asked for permission to marry her. And I know it would happen the week later anyway. So I guess it's not that big of a deal. But to me, it was just a little cringe that he asked so early. And that Michelle's mom, who seems like they seem like lovely people. But like the second he said he wanted 3 kids, she was like, all right, you're in. Like,
right. Wrap it up.
Tougher. Not that he's not a good person, but what was that?
It was really strange. And I feel like this was like the first time that she and Brandon really spent a lot of time together too. I don't know. Maybe they had another one. I can't remember. But I don't know. I just feel like all of these relationships, not just Brandon, it just feels like everything is so rushed. And I'm not seeing like any real connections besides like with maybe Nate and Joe. Not really like into any of these relationships. I'm not really like fully committed to any of these because I just feel like everything has been rushed and the edits have been weird and focusing on the wrong things. I don't know. It's just, I'm not feeling it.
It still feels like we're like not that far in, and like Michelle was, it feels like just yesterday we were like watching her be unseen at the dates, and now it's like we're supposed to believe that these guys like snapped their fingers and we're magically like the perfect contestants again and whatever. I don't know. I agree with you. I think there's something missing, and maybe, you know, by the end it'll just be like, it'll be so clear whoever she ends up with that the connection was so strong they had to cut out a lot because they didn't want it to be so obvious and they're trying to make a show.
Right.
That's kind of maybe the vibe I'm getting. Like they're trying to force some of the other relationships because they don't want to give it away, whether it's Joe or Nate, or somehow we haven't even spoken about Rodney.
Oh my God. Yeah. Rodney, poor Rodney. So cute.
What was your cringe?
Oh my God. Can we talk about this Clayton Bachelor edit?
Of course.
I still, like, even after all of this, I'm still confused as to why he is our bachelor. He seems like a lovely person, nothing against him, but I don't know what his story is. Just because he's good with kids and lets a little girl paint his nails and can build a fort, he should be the bachelor. No, like, what's your story? Like, I don't get it. And this is the only time we've seen you all season.
It's so freaking bizarre. Like, I don't know who at ABC saw that footage of Clayton with the kids. And I feel like for them, it was that moment to be like, this is our guy. America's going to swoon over this guy at building a fort. And again, I agree with you. Like, I don't think he's a bad person. Maybe he's even going to end up being a good bachelor. I have no idea. Time will tell. But the way that they did it like this, it makes no sense to me. He literally said at one point, like, I'm slow to open up, which is just hilarious. Everybody had to pull that line out because, like, we need a bachelor who's not slow to open up. Like, that's the whole point of the show. And his relationship with Michelle was just like lackluster, and she clearly like thinks he's a decent dude too, and she felt bad, but like he didn't even get one-on-one date, Rose, and we're supposed to like feel bad for this guy. I don't get it.
And she didn't even pick him as the one-on-one. The kids did. Like, she like this is just, I don't know. And it was just like they were like shoving it down our throat. Like, you're gonna like this person. I've never seen a Bachelor edit like this ever. And they still haven't even announced him as the Bachelor, but they're like, what's next for Clayton? Is he gonna find love? Should he get married? Like, this is so weird. And like, you have such a great Final Four group. I think she did a really good job picking this Final Four, and because it seems like she actually has connections. Like, there's no real villain in any of those guys either. Why couldn't you have picked one of those guys? Like, it's just weird to me.
We're like, I would see at least one of them be very heartbroken because I mean, they all seem really into Michelle, maybe not Rodney, but
right.
I feel like Brendan, Joe and Nate are all very invested in this relationship. And I think we're going to see some tears. We see it in the hometown preview, whether it's Michelle nervous about sending one of them home or doesn't want to hurt their feelings, or one of them leave, like, who knows? But I think we're going to get some raw, real emotion that, again, I think they've been cutting out because they're trying to keep us on our toes. And I think we're going to feel for one of these guys. So it's even more confusing how Clayton snuck in here. Again, maybe he'll end up being great, but the fact that they're doing it so weirdly, like, if he had kids, maybe we'd be like, oh, seeing him with these other kids, like this single dad. But like, and again, like, good, you want kids, like, great, you seem fine. But like, I just don't get why I'm supposed to be rooting for this guy. And then bringing in the little girl again at the end, like the blooper thing was also so cringe. Like, please.
I know. I don't get it. Maybe we're missing something, and I'm sure we're going to learn more about him when his season airs. But I just feel out of this group of guys, from what we see, there was some better choices. But I don't know. No, whatever.
Katie's guys. I think that there were definitely some interesting guys in the running from Katie's guys. Michael A, Andrew. I don't know. I'm very confused.
Very, very confused. All right. Well, let's hand out some roses.
All right, I'm going to give one of my roses to Olu. I think justice for Olu, although he looked so bored on that group date, which made me laugh. Like, I think he was kind of ready to go home, but he seems like a really good guy. He would probably be a great Bachelor. He was like, got involved a little bit by telling her about Martin, but did it in like a classy way. He seems like a sweet guy, would bring something different to the show. And I really like him. I hope we see more of him. And I think that he was had an interesting arc this season. Justice for my boy Rick, by the way. I thought he was going to get in the Final Four, but whatever.
I did too.
And also I'd like to give a rose to Rodney, just because, wow, good job, buddy.
Good job. You made it. Didn't see it coming, but you made it. I also want to give a rose to Olu's jacket at the rose ceremony, because bringing some high fashion, I enjoyed that. Mine was the whole Final Four. I think she did a really good job picking everybody out. Yes, Rodney, maybe it could have been Rodney or Rick, but I do like her Final Four. I think she did a good job picking it out, and I'm excited to see their hometowns. I think it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, hopefully we get to know these guys a little more.
Hopefully. All right, let's pack our bags. I sent home Martin because, he needed to go home maybe 3 weeks ago. So happy he's finally home, back in Miami, frosting his tips and doing whatever it is that he does.
Stay off my beach, Martin. I do not need you on any beach.
Right. How about you?
I'm going to bring it full circle and send home Katie. I know she's not on this program anymore, but she's very much all over my Instagram feed. John just posted a very loving TikTok with her. Blake has unfollowed both of them, which good for him. His mom is up here like in JD comments. Good for her. You go, Emily Moynes. Katie started this. They're allowed to now get involved. Because again, she started this with this messy thing. And I also, to come full circle, bring up Hannah Brown's book again. Like, she talks a lot about how lonely it is when the show was airing, and how your normal friends don't necessarily get it. And your new Hollywood friends, like, are they you? You have to question that. And so it's a lonely thing, I think, to be the Bachelorette and try to navigate these post-show experiences, navigate a breakup, navigate Instagram, navigate people judging you. But I think she's doing it poorly. And instead of leaning into it, like put your phone down, like their followers will be there, like the brand deals will be there, like get your money, do your thing. But like, you're not helping anyone here. And I think that there's probably something more going on. She moved to San Diego. She admitted she was lonely. And like, if her and John work out, great. Like, I'm happy for you, but maybe learn from past mistakes and don't overcompensate on social media, or don't open those doors if then it's going to like damage you in the back. She was crying a few weeks ago because people were questioning the legitimacy of her relationship with Blake, which ironic now, because of things she was posting on the internet. So like, stop giving people material to make fun of you for or to judge you for. Yeah. That's how I feel.
I think that's perfectly said. I don't understand her thinking behind any of this. I mean, maybe she'll come out and say something now that Blake has spoken. So maybe she'll kind of do the same and give her side of the story. But this is going to get messy, and we are going to be here for it and breaking it down each and every week. Well, that is it for this week's episode of Getting for Here for the Right Reasons. Sarah, who's on the podcast this week?
So you'll hear my interview with Michelle, which was recorded a little bit before the episode. So it's more in general about the season, but there's some good nuggets in there about Joe, Nate, and Clayton and Martin. And then you'll hear an even more in-depth recap of everything that's going on in Bachelor Nation. And then Friday, you will hear the full interview with Hannah Brown and a full breakdown of those. So if you're looking for any timeline stuff or confused, head over to Us Because Here for the Reasons podcast, and I will give you an even longer-winded, faster probably, because I speak even faster on the podcast, explanation, plus some interviews with Michelle and Hannah Brown. Good stuff.
It's going to be some good stuff. Well, Sarah, thank you so much. And thank you everybody for tuning in. Keep commenting, keep subscribing, and we will see you guys next week.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.